Hello, good morning. We are back at it again here this week with equations. So, remember from starting off last week, we began talking about equations. We were talking about what the difference between an expression and an equation was. We were talking about what a coefficient was, what a variable was, and what a constant was. So going back to that discussion, remember our variable is represented by a letter. Remember our coefficient is always in front of our variable. Remember our constant was always that number that's on its own. So let's start here looking at question number 1. This video will be question number 1, 2, and 3. The second video you will find to help you with reviewing and marking this first knowledge check will be question 4 and 5. So, video 1, question 1, it asked us to look at the algebraic expressions and equations below. Which are expressions? Which are equations, and how do we know? So I have them written down in front of me right now. In 1a, we had 5x equals 65. So 5 was our coefficient, x was our variable, 65 is our constant. So looking at this, is it an equation, is it an expression, how do we know? It is an equation because it has an equal sign. It has a definite answer. So there's only one thing that works to put into our variable to get that answer of 65. Therefore, it is an equation. This question, it does not ask you to actually solve the question. It only asks you if it's an equation or if it's an expression. So there's only one mark here for saying that it is an equation. And that is because it has a equal sign. In B, y plus 8, and I don't think there was an equal sign there. So 1b was just y plus 8. Does it have an equal sign? No, it does not in part B, so it is an expression. And why that is because you could put any number in there for the variable y and get a different answer. So there's no definite. An equation has a definite answer. An expression, you can substitute anything for the variable and it'll still work. Looking at 1c, we had 3a minus 6. Is there an equal sign? No, there is not, so it is an expression. In D, z plus 3 equals 9. It has an equal sign, therefore it is an equation. Coming down to E, p minus 4 divided by 2. So even though there's a division sign, there's still no definite answer. There's no equal sign, so it is an expression. And all the way down to the bottom here, the last one, 3q subtract 5 equals 19. So right when I said equals, a lot of you probably just said it is an equation. If you said that, you are correct. And going back here, this will help us with the next few questions. I'll touch on this now. Remember when a 3 is right beside a q, your 3 is your coefficient, your q is your variable. This means to multiply. When they're right beside each other, remember it is multiply. We'll use that in the next few questions here. So for F, it was a equation because it had that equal sign. So it is out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Question 1 out of 6 marks. Okay, once that's totaled up, let's move to number 2. Question number 2. We are asked to solve by systematic trial. So remember systematic trial, if you go back into your notes, that is your guess and check. So you are taking a number, you're substituting it in for the variable, and you're seeing if it works. So let's look at 2a together. We have variable d plus 9 equals 23. So looking at this, we think to ourselves, well, what plus 9 will equal 23? Start with a number, using reasoning, making an educated guess. I'm going to start with a 10. Does 10 plus 9 equal 23? No, it's 19, so we know we have to go a little bit more. So maybe we'll try a 12. 12 plus 9 is at 23? Not quite. We'll go a little bit more. 14 plus 9 is that 23? Yes, it is. There's our first mark. So we show that D equals 14. B. P, remember the sign is divide. P divided by 4 equals 6. So what divided by 4 is going to equal 6? Let's start with trying something. Try a 12. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So we're going to have to go a little bit more. 12 didn't work. Let's try to double that. Go to 24. 24 divided by 4 equals 6. So 24 does work. P equals 24. Into C down here, we have 3C subtract 5 equals 16. So this one's a little bit more difficult because it's a two-step process. And this is where we need to remember that when a variable is right beside a number, that means to multiply. So let's start with a number. Let's start with a 5. And we'll go through this. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. Subtract 5 would give us 10. Doesn't work. We need a little bit bigger number. So I'm going to go in. Let's try a 7. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract 5 gives us 16. So we know our 7 works. C equals 7. D, another two-step. 2 multiplied by a number plus 3 equals 17. So let's plug in a number here. Let's start with 5 again. Try that. 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. Plus 3 is only 13. So we need a little bit more. Need a little bit bigger number. Let's go up by 2. Let's try 7. 2 multiplied by 7 is 14. Plus 3 is 17. So x, this variable right here, equals 7. Okay, so there's two A, B, C, and D done in front of us. Just E and F to look at. So right now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 marks and 2 more to go through here. Okay, looking at 2E, we have 4y equals 52. So once again, systematic trial is guess and check. Start with a number for y and see if it works. So I know that I'm going to have to multiply this by a pretty big number to get to 52. Knowing my 10 times tables, I'm going to start with that. Because easy enough, 4 multiplied by 10 is 40. So we know it doesn't work, but it gives us a rough idea of where to start. So let's go up a little bit. Let's try maybe our 11, just up a little bit more. 4 multiplied by 11 is 44. Well, how many more 4s do we need to get to 52? If we know 4 times 11 is 44, if I times it by 12, I'd get 48. If I times it by 13, I should get 52. So that is how we kind of use some reasoning there to help get us to our answer. So I'd plug this number here in for my variable y. 4 multiplied by 13 gives us 52. So y equals 13. Moving down, last one in number 2. F. We have 2e plus 7 equals 31. Looking at this, trying to find what our e equals now. Start with a number. I'm going to start with a 10. So 2 multiplied by 10 gives us 20, plus 7 would be 27. I need to go up a little bit more. Let's try a 12. 10 didn't work. 2 multiplied by 12 gives me 24, plus 7 will give me 31. So E equals 12. Okay, so your total there in question number 2, give yourself a total out of 6 marks. There's 1 mark there for each question. And number 3. This time we are solving by inspection. So the only difference with inspection is now that you're using your understanding of multiplication, addition, subtraction, and division to help you answer it. Usually inspection is a little bit faster than systematic trial. So let's look at 3A is 5A equals 35. So it's asking us to find this variable a. And remember, this means when a number is right beside a variable, 5 multiplied by a. So understanding our multiplication tables, 5 times what is 35? Well, 5 times 7 would give us 35. So a equals 7. So this inspection method, we got to make sure we're good with our multiplication tables. 3b, we have x plus 7 equals 13. So we're going to inspect this question. We see that it's solving with addition. So what plus 7 is 13? Well, 6 plus 7 is 13, so x equals 6. C, p minus 8 equals 15. So now we're dealing with subtraction. We look at subtraction, we say to ourselves, what number would we have to start with to take away 8 and get to 15? Well, 23 minus 8 would give us 15, so that's a p, the variable this time, p equals 23. Moving down to D, we have 2z minus 3 equals 13. Make this a little clearer, that kind of looks like a 2. 2z, 2z minus 3 equals 13. So remember, when a 2 is right beside that variable, that means 2 multiplied by something, minus 3 will give us 13. So this is where we can kind of break this question down. This question right here is when inspection works well for us. We know that if we have this number over here, subtract 3 gives us 13. What does this number have to be to subtract 3 to get to 13? I know that 16 minus 3 gives me 13, so I need 2 times something to give me 16. Well, 2 times what is 16? 2 times 8 will give me 16. So z equals 16. We could try that now. We could put that 8 in for z. 2 multiplied by 8 is 16 minus 3 equals 13. And moving down to E, we have 3d plus 7 equals 19. Another good question to use inspection here, because we have 3 multiplied by d plus 7 equals 19. Well, I know that this here, 3 multiplied by d, has to give me, when I'm done with it, has to give me 12, because 12 plus 7 is 19. So now, 3 times what will give me 12? Well, 3 times 4 equals 12, so d equals 4. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 7 is 19. D equals 4. Okay. And last one here, moving to 3F. We'll do this one quickly because I think we only have a minute. Facebook only gives us 15 minutes, or sorry, not Facebook, YouTube. YouTube only gives us 15 minutes per video. So 3F, I have 4C minus 1 equals 19. Let's break this down. I know that this number here, 4 multiplied by a number, has to give me 20, because 20 minus 1 gives me 19. So 4 times what is 20? Well, 4 times 5 is 20, minus 1 gives me 19. So C equals 5. So remember that method of inspection. You're breaking the question down to figure out what you need here first before you subtract that number to get to your answer. So your total in number 3 should be out of 6. So there's video 1. Number 1 was out of 6, number 2 out of 6, and number 3 out of 6. Video number 2 will have questions 4 and 5.